good afternoon, or maybe it's good evening now. My name is Cathy Ludlum, and I have submitted written testimony, and I encourage you to read that. But I would like to give the time I have now to varying from that a little bit to respond to some of the things that I heard today. Because I think, well, first of all, I am opposed to Raise Bill 5433, as you may have gathered by now, and that creating collective bargaining for personal assistance with the state. I am opposed to it for a lot of reasons, and I won't bore you with all of them right now. But I think starting with the bill first, clearly, this is a rushed process. You know, the executive order came out in the summer, and this bill has come out now in the short session of the legislature, after working groups spent a mere 2 months studying the issues, which are very complicated. And I would suggest to you that what we are talking about here is not a situation of apples and oranges, but apples, oranges, pineapples, peaches, and pears. I say that because I, like my predecessor, Mary Kay, are both on the PCA waiver under the Department of Social Services. But Jamie and others are under waivers through the Department of Developmental Services. They have very different job categories, wage requirements, the 25.75 hourly restriction that was mentioned earlier and keeps getting mentioned over and over belongs to some waivers, but not all. The wages vary between all waivers, and there are not just two of them. There's not a DSS waiver and a DDS waiver. There are a couple of waivers in each, and a lot of different job categories, particularly within DDS. So I'm concerned that the rushing through of this bill is being done without adequate consideration of all the issues involved. Specific issues I have are that the new council, Quality Home Care Workforce Council, that would replace the one under Executive Order 10, would no longer have people with disabilities or advocates as the majority, but we would now be a minority with 4 appointees to the council. In addition, the appointees are all through political processes. You know, there's one by Republican representatives and one by Democratic and so on. I think that could be done better like they do in Massachusetts, where the disability representatives are nominated by the disability community itself. The Council on Developmental Disabilities in Massachusetts nominates 3, and the council chair picks one of those. The Independent Living Council nominates 3, and the chair picks one of those, and so on. That would seem to bring in the necessary expertise that you need, but that isn't how this is structured right now. In addition, as Debbie mentioned earlier, the critical no-strike clause isn't in there right now. I know that was an error. I know you will fix it. What else is missing? These are really important things to be looking at because people's lives depend on this. The other thing I want to point out, because it keeps getting overlooked, is why you are looking at a potential due structure of probably 2 or 2.5%, similar to other states. In other states, there is also a minimum fee. So, for example, if I have a former personal assistant who comes back twice a year to work for me for 3 hours when I'm in a jam, the minimum fee in Massachusetts is $6.50. She's earning $12.25 an hour. Why is there any incentive for backup people to stay with us if they're going to get slammed with that minimum fee? And I'm not throwing these out because they're necessarily the most important point, but they indicate the complexity of all that's going on here. And I just really ask you to take that into account. I want to make 2 more points, and then I'll be interested in all your questions. But one of the issues mentioned earlier was the issue of force and the issue of rights. And yes, people have the right to organize, certainly. But they also should have the right to decline unionization efforts and advances. And we know in Connecticut a number of personal care attendants who have been harassed by SEIU organizers who just don't take no for an answer. One of them works for someone, one of those personal care attendants works for someone in the DDS system, and she appealed and appealed and appealed to the organizers to please leave her alone. She didn't want to sign the authorization cards. I'd like to review the letter that came back. Turn, please. After turn twice, because I'm doing this in reverse. The personal care attendant asked the organizer, what will it take to make you go away? And the organizer wrote a letter, which is attached to my testimony when you look at it. And she wrote, I apologize for the inconvenience we have caused, but my supervisor says, in order for no one to come and knock at your door, if you please sign these cards and send them in, no one will bother you again. In my book, no means no. Not maybe. Not yet. They tell you no, you should go away. I think that's only fair. And just in closing, I have one more point. Yes. I am representing not so much myself, but my constituents. And my constituents are the people, past and present, who have given up their time, their effort, and their energy to work for me as a personal assistant. Since 2009, we have been fighting this unionization push. Not so much even because I'm against it, but because they're against it. Finally, I'd just like to conclude by saying that I have always heard that the people united can never be defeated. There are a lot of us on the DSS waivers, the DDS waivers, our personal care attendants, our families, our friends, and our community who are taking a stand against this bill. Debbie, can you pull this page off for a sec? Thank you. Push it over a little. Need to see a number here. We are also standing with the family child care providers who will be testifying against Senate Bill 352, and they are standing with us as well. Please listen to the voice of the people and vote no to raise Bill 5433. Thank you very much for your time.